After giving amazing new support to old archetypes, giving decent reprints in upcoming structure decks, Konami has now tackled its probably biggest problem ever, the power creep. Because apparently ban lists aren't enough to kick decks off the meta throne, so you have to constantly come up with new archetypes, with new mechanics, with new non-engine cards, and yeah, just a huge problem despite being really expensive. But now Konami has announced a new tournament system called the Genesys system that might fix all those problems. The rules are fairly simple, no link monsters or pendulum monsters at all. All other cards are allowed, so even forbidden cards, no problemo, and the original field layout is used with no extra monster zones or pendulum zones. So you have no ban list, but of course still you're limited to 3 copies of the same card in your deck, but deck construction now uses a point system, so some cards are assigned a point value, most of them are not actually, but we'll dive into that in a moment, and the total point cost of cards in your main, extra and side deck combined cannot exceed the point cap for that event. Now the standard point cap is 100, but events can be run with any point cap or even a 0 point cap, and each tournament store can set their own caps for their tournaments. Now this idea really sounds intriguing, especially if you look at how they, for example, treat floodgates right here. Each of those cards 100 points, so one of them in your deck max, and all the other cards would have to be 0 point cards, so some of them are basically not runnable. This of course doesn't apply to all cards. Notoria Beast has 50 points and all the statues 60, so you can still play them. And obviously the worse the floodgate, the less points they have, and some were even missed, like for example Dimensional Fissure or Macrocosmos. Also in the TCG they were called staples, and of course a lot of forbidden cards among those cards, but they also have been hit very hard, as you can see by those points right here. Pot of Prosperity, for example, 40 points. So if you want to run 3, which you couldn't even, you exceed the 100 cap, of course. And also some other cards like Solemn Judgment with 7 is pretty cheap. So there are also some cards here that you can really play no problem. It doesn't look too bad for board breakers though, because except for Triple Tactics Talent, there's not really a high pointed card right here. Also some other regularly played cards are of course not that high pointed. For example, the Dominus spells or Nibiru, of course, with 10 points is actually pretty great. Imperm with 15 also pretty great. Obviously Dominus Impulse with 30 is a bit of a thing. Running 3 of those would be 90 points, so that's a lot. But yeah, you have some budget hand traps as well right here. Now my personal opinion about this is I think it's great. I think it's a great entrance for people who want to come back to the game, because I've seen a lot of people who really have fun playing Yu-Gi-Oh! But are just scared by the meta and the power creep, and I can totally understand that. But for me personally, I'm still covered up in so much work to do for the TCG cards. I don't think I will have time to get into Genesys too much, at least for now. But what do you guys think? Definitely let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.